Hello, and thanks for coming through to this little clip where we're going to have a discussion about the transition from the metal element of autumn to the water element of winter, and also the quality of the three treasures. So, to begin with, I think that it's fairly clear that we have reached the crossover point in the seasonal year. um, the metal element is all about that quality of clearing, creating space. Think about the way that leaves come off a tree. It's also about harvest. So the time that we take the yield from the crops, we take what's valuable from the crops, we further refine it as we sort it into storage. What will be replowed into the fields, what will go to market, what's gifted to friends. That process of sorting and sifting. So they're two really key words that move with the energy of the metal element and the season of autumn. So we move from all this kind of harvesting and rarefication. Even the leaves, as they drop to the forest floor, you think, yes, there's the primary harvest, but actually, there's the more rarefied harvest as the essence is extracted out of the leaves, and back into the earth to fulfill its commitment to the cycle. So we're moving from this type of energy into the energy of winter, which is quite different. And the energy of winter is, of course, like water. It is one of returning. It is descending, spiraling downwards. It is becoming increasingly still. It's slow and it's powerful. And to me, I think winter is the greatest season of manifestation. I personally feel that this is the point in the year where dreams happen. They may not actually materialize until later in the year towards the cycles of spring and ultimately summer, but this is where manifestation begins. And it is one of the most potent seasons for our physical health and for our energetic health. So in the sky, of course, the sun has been dipping lower and lower, you may have noticed, and the sunrise, currently anyway, where I am, is not until somewhere between sort of 6:30 and 6:45. So the sun is getting later and later as it to breach the horizon, and you'll notice that it's getting earlier and earlier in the afternoons. By 5:30, it's considerably dark. I'm starting to switch on some of the internal lights, and the sun, of course, is moving towards solstice. It's moving towards that point of shortest day. But as part of the gateway between the old text message in the middle of a recording, as part of the gateway between the autumn energies and the winter energies, we are moving into this eclipse cycle. And eclipses initiate, they bring forward something that is needed, something that is necessary. It could be something that's occurring collectively in that field, or it may well be impacting you personally. So this eclipse field is what we're moving into in only a few days. These are the last moments of purging. These are a kind of this. It's a final surrender, if you like, of our illusions, of our belief patterns, of it's of the things that no longer serve us, that are on an energetic level. And this is where I think we'd lean into that concept of second harvest. We've been trying to let go on the physical plane for some time, and moving through that current over the last 3 months, perhaps committing to ourselves in our practice, or in in ritual work as we observe the lunar currents. But here we are moving into a very rarefied letting go that is occurring with this next eclipse on the 26th of May. So that is Wednesday next week. Of course, always in line with new and full moon. So this is a lunar eclipse. So it's a lot about that letting go energy as opposed to the solar eclipses, which have more of the initiating energy in them. But we begin with letting go, we begin with making space. And that's what we do, of course, with the season of autumn. We are beginning with making space before we go into the initiating phase that is disguised as winter. And we'll be talking, of course, more on that as the winter months progress and we have more opportunity to deconstruct this topic a little more. So winter has this active return. It is actively returning, actually. And it's like the way that a stream, slowly makes its way towards the sea. And it doesn't matter how many dams you build or how many tanks that water is collected in for periods of time, it will eventually find its way to the sea. There is nothing that can stop that process. And they talk a lot in the I Ching as beautiful metaphors about how the inspiration or the initiation comes down with the rain. It comes down from the heavens. It comes down from this source above, this unseen. And of course, as it makes its way down, it then slowly returns to that vast ocean from which it has come, where it completes its journey before moving back up into the heavens again. And this beautiful concept of the water cycle and this sense of flow. And flow, of course, is and surrendering to whatever currents are occurring right now is a critical component for our winter health, because it's much less about who you are and how you are perceived on the external world. It's much less about the material things that make up your external world. It's all about who you are inside. And that's why this autumnal process of rarefication, of sifting and sorting and purification is so fundamentally essential to our energetic well-being. This is about, they say that it manifests, all of life manifests from the inside out. This is how it happens. So we have to create the space so that we can begin the dream process, so we can begin the pathway of dreaming it up, of bringing it forward, of creating the form from the formless. So this is like step one. So here we are in the belly, or approaching the belly of the inner work. And we're looking here at the dream state. We're looking at the unconscious. We're looking at what is unseen within us. So water always represents the mysterious. We never quite know. It's like we've been, quite a long way out in space if we were to measure it in kilometers, but we have not met that by moving down into the base of the sea. There's still areas in the belly of our planet that we haven't yet connected with. The Mariana Trench is still largely unexplored. The ocean bottom still remains a mystery. Its creatures still remain a mystery. Thank goodness. So water really represents, this season really represents the unknowable. It represents the things that we can't see, we can't touch, and we can't sometimes even tangibly, we sometimes can't even bring words to them to give an explanation because they're so unknown. And I think this is why this season was aligned always with that process of finding trust in things. Because what is trust other than leaning into something that we have no freaking idea about? It's like leaning backwards into I don't know what and being okay with that. And our humanness really wants us to know the weave. Our humanness really loves it when we understand the details, when we know the pathway and we know the destination and it's all mapped out. It gives this sense of safety to the humanness. But life is not like that. It moves along far more unpredictable currents, and there are plenty of times when we are in the unknown. And it's a great skill, a great personal strength, and it takes us a long way in life when we can learn how to fall back into the darkness, how to fall back into life without knowing what is on the other side, because that means that we are living and moving and working with a great sense of trust. It means that we come from a sturdy belief system that says this universe is benevolent, I am held, I am safe, everything and everyone is going to be okay no matter what. And if we can come into that very firm sense of trust and faith in our cellular system, then we have no fear left and we can step out into life with the biggest, broadest heart space that we can find. We can step forward into, measured risk. Of course, this isn't about, leaping off a cliff without a parachute. That goes from like trust to stupidity. So let's be reasonable. But, it means that we can step forward in life far more powerfully. And things like anxiety, things like overwhelm, they fall away because we ultimately trust the timing of everything. We ultimately trust the unfolding of the story of everything. Now, I think that this whole quality of the unknown and unmanifest is even able to be discerned in just the placement of the channels in the body. So the channels that relate to this season are of the kidneys and the bladder channel. So these are the waterways, if you like, of the body. And of course, both of these reside in the back of the body. The bladder channel starting up here in the very corners of the eyes, coming up over the scalp, down alongside the spine, the very back of the legs, under the ankles to the little toe side of the foot, and the kidney channel picking up at the deep valley that's at the mound of the big toe, and traveling up. And the kidney channel travels quite deep in the body, not sitting on the surface of the body, not revealing itself, moving into the two little organs of the kidneys itself in the back of the body, and they are just kind of under the rib, just below the ribs there in the back of the body, and coming all the way up into, the sternum and the throat. But again, deep, deep, unknowable. And like the back of the body where these channels lie, you're never going to see that in the course of your life, yet it's with you every day. You are never ever going to lay eyes on the back of your own body. You may well see it reflected back to you in a mirror. You may well see it frozen for a moment in a photograph or video footage, but you will never see it without the filter of something else. And so this lends itself to this mysterious part of the body that's always there, and yet we talk about our backbone being the source of our willpower and our determination. We talk about the spine in terms of our resolve and our grit and our endurance to keep moving forwards, to keep finding a way forwards no matter what, like the rainwater that is in the, trapped in the river, in the dam. It is enduring in its capacity to return to the sea, no matter what. There is an enormous and fundamental strength inside that. So when we talk about the quality of winter, we're really talking about our capacity to tap this level of potency, this level of power, and this level of endurance. And this is not fast stuff. This is not a flame that flares up and burns out. No. This is the long game. This is the long haul. So as you move into winter, we want to be really working to preserve and to nourish these reservoirs of water, because the stronger, the more stable, the more secure they are, the more clear they are, the more calm they are, the more we're able to tap this deep, hidden, and mysterious resource within us, which is a phenomenal power. It's worth noting, of course, that the kidneys are, aligned with aging. As the energy of the kidneys descends, so does the life force. And that brings us from this kind of power of the unimaginable within to these qualities of the three treasures. And the first treasure, the primary treasure that I wanted to talk about, was the Jing essence. So remember, we are talking about a state that is pre-creation. This is where Jing came from. It is the darkness between the stars. It is the energy of Shiva that sits deep in the belly of the body. And Jing is transferred to us on birth through the mother line. So not to discredit any of the contribution of our brothers to this field of inheritance, but this particular energetic transfer just happens to come through the mother line. I didn't make up the rules. So there is some conversation about, does that transference happen at conception? Does that transference kind of seep in slowly over the 42 weeks of gestation? Does that transference happen with the moment of the first breath or the exit from the birth canal? Leave that up to you to ponder and come to with your own opinions. Add them in the comments if you like. But essentially there is this transference of Jing, and this is a creative power surge that comes through. And if you could imagine that this Jing, and we call this particular Jing, we call it the prenatal Jing, or the pre-heaven Jing. And it's stored between the kidneys, and this is your fundamental life force. And this, once warmed by the action of the breath and the beating heart in the body, fires up to become the chi in the body, the chi that animates you and warms you, the chi that holds your organs in place, the chi that helps you transform food from, a bowl of lentils into the available nutrients for metabolism and life in general. So this is that the movement of Jing to Qi. Qi is the second of the three treasures. It's slightly more rarefied. So Jing comes through in this maternal download, and the stronger the Jing in the mother, the stronger that Jing, that life force Jing that she has, the more she has available to share with every child. Now, the first child, of course, is going to get a lovely, healthy download. But as we move down the line, and depending on the lifestyle of the mother, it's the potential for each child to have less and less. Because this prenatal Jing is like a term deposit. We get given it at birth, but we cannot top it up. We can use it, but we cannot top it up. However, we can augment that prenatal Jing with what we call postnatal Jing, and this is the Jing that we create through good living, through correct breathing, through healthy eating, through choosing to keep our body fit and strong and mobile in our lives. We deplete that energy. Men will deplete that energy through excess sex. We deplete that energy through drug use, through overwork, through not observing seasonal currents. We can deplete that energy through too many late nights. So these types of slightly, I want to say bad, but I wish I could find another word. The lifestyle choices that are like driving your car at full speed all the time. These are the type of lifestyle choices that eventually deplete not only our capacity to take in that postnatal jing, that good lifestyle jing, but they actually really pull on that prenatal jing. Because once that postnatal jing is depleted, and it can happen, you can have a life trauma that can really deplete that. So stress, tension, grief, these types of emotions really do affect your capacity to keep your jing in your kind of everyday spendings account coming in and going out in a balance. And we end up depleting that, so we have to pull on the term deposit in order to keep the chi burning in our body so that we can do all the things that are our humanness. So caring for this jing essence is really essential, and this is the work of winter. This is the reservoir that we are talking about. This is what we need to really nourish with a lot of early nights in the winter. So go to bed, almost with the sun. Certainly have dinner really early. Like in our house, it's dinner at like 5:30 around here. And we're early risers, and we're in bed, I'm just going to say it, we're in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock in the wintertime, reading a book, quiet activities, resting and preparing for bed. Rise with the sun, so get up a little later. Eat well, eat cooked foods. Eat cooked foods, don't, these yin foods, raw foods, even raw salads, are going to deplete you in the wintertime. You want to be really building, lots of sleep, lots of good food, lots of deep breathing, move your body, move your joints, ride your bike, go for a walk, go to yoga, do the things that you do that warm and animate you. So there's this, this period of repair and restoration of these foundational energies, which is so critical over the winter, this energy signature of the jing. The more you build this, the more you build trust. Yes, the more you build your capacity to move with the flow of life, to feel that largeness of life and your belonging within it. And the fact that you are here to flow, and that this flow is benevolent and you are being drawn along with it to your absolute highest potential this lifetime. It's almost that easy and that hard at the same time. And so jing, and then it's slightly more rarefied is the chi or the ki, and then slightly more rarefied still is the shen. And the shen, of course, is we could align the jing up to genetics, genetic codes. We could line the shen up to the spirit, in Western sense, that sense of the spirit, or the soul. It's probably the closest in comparison. So, of course, this is also our mind. This is our presence. This is how we plan and execute something, is through this work of the Shen. This is what radiates out from me to you and from you to me. This is what I see. I see your Shen. It's what I perceive. It is your presence. It is my presence. So it sleeps, of course, or it rests in the heart. And this is why we talk a lot in my heart work over the summer season about not opening the heart. That is a conversation for another day, and I know quite controversial, but I stand by it. and it lives in the blood. So the blood is yin, and the shen itself is yang. So you've got this beautiful, this beautiful balance of yang and yin between the bloodlines that move within me and the radiance of my spirit that moves out of me. And they often, the three treasures, are very commonly sort of described like a candle. And this is what can help you understand the three treasures and how they manifest and harmonize in the body. So a candle, the actual wick and the wax of the candle is like the Jing essence. This is this beautiful, dense, and solidified form. And then you have the flame that burns on the top by the virtue of the wick and the wax. And that is the chi, warming, animating, transforming, holding, um, nourishing. And then the light that comes off the candle, well, that is the Shen, that is your radiance. And a good strong candle is going to fill a room. So that is why, you know, the the um, the lessons of winter, as we pull down and pull in, as we prepare to make this commitment to our inner self, to our energetic systems. This is why it's so important, because at the other end of the scale, it is our radiance, it is how we move out into the world. So therefore, it is our beauty. So use winter as a tonic for repair, for repatriation, for return, just like the river returns to the sea. Become really aware of what you are forcing in the wintertime, and maybe rethink that as you try to bring yourself around to this concept of moving with the flow and feeling into the places where there perhaps trust is difficult. And a good technique is just to imagine, close your eyes and imagine falling backwards into the darkness. And just the more you can repeat that, the more you can just let your nervous system know, you know what, it's okay. We are held, we are loved, we are guided all the way. So, nourish with what sustains you deeply and profoundly in this season. Trust the flow of events, however that is manifesting in your life right now. If it is a difficult winter, my heart goes out to you. If you're having an easy time, then reach out to others who are not, but be supportive of yourself and of one another in this time. Because really, the only threat to us, and this is the fundamental water lesson, is that place that exists between, a necessary transition and our fear of going there. So be courageous, be still, go with the flow, all is well. If you want to learn more about the 5-element theory, I would love to have you join us. The winter course has started, but the spring courses will be up and available very soon. This is a really great 15+ hour deconstruction of the 5-element theory. It's theory only. I don't talk too much about the points or the yoga. There is plenty for us to pull apart, but this course has Q&A sessions that go with the content that enable you to pull out information that is specific to you. So if you're a yoga teacher and you want to pick into my brain about seasonal yoga, asana, breath work, or conceptuals, you can use the Q&A sessions for that. If you're a therapist of any discipline, you'll find something valuable amongst this material. I can guarantee it. If you've studied 5 elements before, you know then better than anybody that every person that you hear it from offers a beautiful and brand new perspective for you to wrap your mind around and expand your concepts. You can practice with me several times a week now. So 3 classes a week online, 6 a.m. pranayam and movement classes. A Wednesday 9 a.m., which is a technique class. So that is all about technique, asana technique, but in line with the seasons. And of course, the crowning glory, the jewel in the crown, I should say, which is the Saturday morning deluxe, super deluxe 2-hour seasonal practice. This is the one. So you can jump onto our website at yogaandhealthcollective.com.au, find out a little bit more about me, about my work, about our courses, classes, or I'm on here once a week giving you something that I hope is uplifting and inspiring and transforming for you. Thank you for all your likes, all your shares, and all of your comments. I really, really do value them. Have a beautiful transition day. Happy eclipse. And I'll see you when we're in the water element. Namaste.